Hi, friends. Welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. I am Jer Stays, coming to you from our studio at beautiful Corktown. Across the table from me is none other than producer Cheyenne Noserini, back by popular demand. And, well, frankly, we're not getting rid of you.
Well, thank you, because I wasn't leaving.
I have a feeling that if somehow I left, you'd still be here.
Probably. I'd just be randomly editing.
Just whatever. Whoever wants to host the show, Cheyenne will continue to edit it. Because if you don't, something in the world collapses.
Right.
It is so good to see you. How is the great realignment going? What I mean by the great realignment, I mean that 696 closure, because you're right in it.
I'm smack dab in it, Jer. And it's only day 2, and I'm over it.
So it's painful.
I don't want to say it's painful because I know so many different ways around the area, but all of my hidden routes are now being used by everybody else.
Are you feeling like a driving hipster? Like everyone's now discovered all the places that you went to first?
Kind of. I mean, I know like my 10-year-old, because he goes to school in Royal Oak, in downtown Royal Oak. And then my youngest goes to school in Hazel Park. And so and then my mom lives in Hazel Park. So we're like, that is the stretch that I am down multiple times a day, down 10 Mile and 696. And it's rough out there.
What has been your preferred way around?
So my preferred way around is surprisingly 10 Mile, and the service drive hasn't been that bad. I was surprised at how busy 8 Mile is and 9 Mile. Like 9 Mile has been packed. Like it's been like bumper to bumper. Like
I feel like at least 8 Mile has the lanes for it. If I were to go a long distance, I feel like 9 Mile, if you've got to go through that area of not just downtown Ferndale, but the wings of it nearby, it's only like 1 lane, 2 lanes. It's not very wide. That wouldn't, unless I was going there, that wouldn't be my first choice just off the top of my head.
No, it is one way. It's 1 lane each way with bike lanes. And so it is slower, because it's like a 30-mile-an-hour road until you get to downtown Ferndale, which is then 25. So that one is not optimal.
And it's not the posted detour either.
It is not. I mean, I don't dislike going down 9 Mile, but it's my least favorite. But 10 Mile is my favorite route. But on top of that, the westbound side of 10 Mile, right in the area that I turn down to get into my neighborhood, is currently closed because they're updating the sewer system over there in Huntington Woods. So I have to cut through Pleasant Ridge off of Woodward or go all the way down to Coolidge, and I'm not about to do that. So my travel life, it takes me forever now to get home anywhere I go.
Do you feel like you're just going to be building this in now for the next 2 years?
Oh, yeah. Like it's already built in my head. Like I already know the different routes if I have to go whichever way. It's already built in. Good thing, once again, I have a pretty, I don't want to say photogenic memory of routes.
Photographic? I mean, if you're photogenic memory, that means everything looks better. I would love a photogenic memory, especially with the way I look, my face for radio.
I'm so tired.
I would like to remember myself as prettier than I am.
Me too. But I pretty much have a really good working memory of different routes around just Metro Detroit in general. So I know all the back ways. So, I take my oldest places and he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Just trust me."
Oh, you haven't introduced the concept of construction yet to him.
Oh no, he knows the construction and he doesn't like it. He's like, "I don't know how we're going to do this for 2 years."
Well, the funny thing is 2 years would be like a fifth of his life.
I know. I'm like,
just imagine if a delay lasted a fifth of your life as an adult.
I mean you know what? You're right. That is one way to look at it. I mean, it's kind of like this poor kid. He's had like years of COVID. Now this 2-year construction on 696.
Man, it's real tough.
It's real tough out here for a 10-year-old.
Speaking of where we're going, where have you been?
So last week, I was driving down the road and I realized, I'm right around the corner from the secret bakery. We shouldn't be talking about it because it's a secret.
So this is not a bakery.
It's not a bakery.
Okay.
And it's not on
And so you did not stop on what street?
It's on Livernois.
Okay, so it's not on Livernois.
It's not on Livernois. It's not next to Tall Trees, which is that new sandwich shop. It's not there. But
was the non-existent food any good?
the non-existent Danish that I had, which was like a chocolate Danish with cherries.
It was not chocolate.
It was not chocolate. There was no cherries. There was not mascarpone, and there was no chocolate shavings on top of it. But if it was real,
If you imagined it.
If I imagined it, it was delicious.
Wow.
Also, there was also not a giant everything pretzel that was the size of my head.
I did not see a picture of it,
No.
but if I had, it looked amazing to the point I was jealous of you on our Patreon member Discord.
Yeah. It was, if it were real, it would have been delicious.
In these times, the best we can hope for is imaginary baked goods. If we were not looking for this, but if we wanted to think of this place, I'm assuming it does not have a sign in your mind.
There's a little tiny sign in the window.
You dreamed that up.
I did dream this up, and it's not open any other time except for Wednesdays and Saturdays. If it were real.
So if you were dreaming of this, you would go one of those 2 days.
Right.
Wednesdays or Saturdays.
Yes. Yes. But get there early for imaginary baked goods. The sourdough bread, I should have got a loaf. I should have got it.
Were you dreaming about
I was dreaming of the sourdough loaf after I didn't go to Secret Bakery.
Great bread is underrated.
It looks so good. And I follow this non-existent bakeries on Instagram. Yeah. And the bread making videos are so awesome.
I had really good bread as part of a greater dish at the congregation, actually.
Yeah.
I was not going to mention this, but you know what? It was good. They've got a killer turkey sandwich.
Yes.
Their Hungarian mushroom soup, top notch, quite good. And the burrata.
Yes. Oh, it looks so good.
The burrata. I shared that on our member Discord. Holy, like I've been wanting burrata for a long time, but it's one of those things. Living in the city, and I am open for people who want to give me suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
It is so hard to find burrata.
Have you looked at DeVries?
I haven't had a chance to.
Okay.
So maybe DeVries might have it?
I would think DeVries would have it.
Because I feel like I'm going to have to go to the suburbs for burrata, and that makes me sad.
No, I would think that DeVries would have
Suburban burrata?
Suburban burrata. I mean, of course, our friends at Monger's would have it.
True. I just, I've been thinking about making it for 2 weeks myself. I do enjoy doing that.
Right.
But every single store I stopped at, I would just keep trying different stores.
To look for burrata.
And the closest I could find is ricotta.
Yeah.
So to see that there at Congregation, do not sleep on the food. It's quite good. I also wanted to mention that I had a meeting at the David Whitney lobby, and I had forgotten that not only is it a really great place, like for the hotel and whatever, or if you want to meet up a friend, like it's a good rendezvous point. If you've got friends that you're meeting up downtown, you can meet in the lobby there if there's a few of you. But I forgot that there is a little coffee shop there called Capper and Capper.
Oh, yes.
It's got some bites as well as some Rocco sandwiches in the cooler.
Ooh, nice.
There's the bar there and the visuals. When you're having, we were having coffee and the visuals of that entire space. Two of the people I was with around the city all the time, still, they had not made it to the David Whitney lobby yet.
Really?
And to me, like that's a first off step. So
that's one of my favorite. That atrium.
Remember when it was all tore up from the floor up? We went to those events and it was freezing cold in there. Mm-hmm. And so to see that progression ourselves is such an invigorating and positive thing. Maybe we need to do the basic starter set of places you need to go, because I'm realizing there's so many of these things that maybe to you and me feel off the rip, number one.
Right.
But people don't realize, like tucked in this building is a lobby that is on par with anything you'd see in New York or Chicago.
Mm-hmm. There are so many great lobbies downtown. And obviously in Lake New Center and Midtown. There's just so many good lobbies.
Let's shift gears in a quick update to an ongoing story we're covering. The idea for a historic district for the rencen is officially dead. On Tuesday, Detroit City Council had only one member, the suggester of the resolution, that wanted a historic district set up for the rencen. That would be Angela Whitfield Calloway. Multiple reports. Shout out to Sam Robinson in Detroit 1 million, talking about how Whitfield Calloway wants more interesting buildings, wants a town hall for input on what could be on the rencen space, because she introduced this resolution to try to preserve all the towers. So now this is a step closer to looking like we're going to lose 2 towers of the rencen. I want to talk about it for a hot minute because, one, I don't disagree with the point as reported that she made.
Right.
But also I understand why a historic district, and Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan said so, a historic district would have killed this project.
So this is so hard because on one hand, I am a preservationist at heart. And then on the other hand,
we have memories of the rencen back when we were like 18, 19 years old running around that thing.
Yes. I mean, I do have fond memories of the rencen. I'm not saying I don't, but I also know that this is a behemoth that is not filled and would never be filled again fully, right? That's a lot of building. And it was built in a time where it was a fortress, and it was built in a time when people were afraid to come downtown. And that is not the image that we have anymore in the city of Detroit. And I think that we can still keep a good majority of the building, right? The main tower will still be there. 2 of the other side towers will still be there. But if we can configure it in a way to where it works and it opens up the space so it's a part of downtown again, I think that's what's important.
I hear you. I also think about the comments around making sure that we have, buildings that are interesting, that look different. And then, the worry about the aesthetics around Detroit. And I see it because, there's a lot of things that have gone up recently that have a lot of panels, a lot of plastic or weather panels or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. I mean, let's not mince words here. Like, architecture nowadays isn't always the prettiest.
But I've seen new construction that is attractive.
Right.
And the way you get that is through having consistent rules. And what I think Detroit lacks are consistent rules. I think a lot of times I've talked to a number of developers who've tried to do things, and there are so many hoops to go through
and
with
so much red tape.
And red tape. A much more effective thing would be, say, neighborhood by neighborhood, these are our building expectations as far as facade materials, windows, all that stuff, and say, this is what we expect out of you, as opposed to making it case by case. If we really want to make sure that it has a certain look, whether it be modern, whether it be rustic, whether it be historic or, bricky, as some might say. Like,
right.
Think about places like Indian Village, right?
Or like, for instance, City Modern, right? In Brush Park. You have Brush Park, you think of Brush Park, you think of those grand mansions, and then you have...
Now that new construction makes those grand mansions look like a very small part of the neighborhood. I know that they're popular, but I do think the design has made it. They do, those older mansions do stand out, but these modern designs have made it so that the neighborhood now looks kind of like Toronto.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad in itself.
But it also doesn't, it's not cohesive.
To you. Okay.
To me.
Interesting. Okay. I'd be interested to see what people think about Brush Park, because it's been one of the most successful neighborhoods with that newer look.
It has been, but I also loved the grandeur of those buildings. However, I know we would never, ever be able to build those again.
Couple of bites of food news. First off, Lafayette Coney back open as of Tuesday. City of Detroit made a big deal about it. There was like a whole thing with the health department and the owner and everything. So your Coney's back if you're into Lafayette. How are you feeling about it, Cheyenne?
I mean, my brother, who's coming into town at the end of the month, is very excited because I told him it's currently closed. So I don't know if it'll be reopened by the time you get here.
We're approaching 1 million views.
Yeah.
On a basement tour of American Coney Island that I did on Instagram. It is wild. And the big thing that I take away from this is that the people who are here have picked their own Coneys.
Oh, of course.
But the wider public knows these 2 Coneys.
I think it's kind of on par with Las Vegas. Okay.
So to tell people,
I used to live in Las Vegas. When you are a local, you don't ever go to the Strip. The only time you go to the Strip is when you have people in town. Or if you have like tickets to a show. Like you're not going to the casino on the Strip. You're going to your local casino that's down the street, right? You're going to Boulder Station. You're going to Sunset Station. You're not going to the Strip to go gamble or to do anything. So I feel like Lafayette and American is on par with that.
So you're saying our downtown conies are the Strip of Las Vegas?
Not in like that grandeur, but it's the same kind of vibe. Like the only time I ever go to Lafayette is if somebody is in town.
You haven't chimed in on this. What is your coney?
For my husband, it's National.
If you're from the suburbs, I hear that.
Yeah. I am from the east side, so National was generally like the coney we would go to.
That's Spotted, Maross and Mac, 7 Mile and Mac. Yeah.
Yes. Right next to the Kinko's.
Oh, so many reports.
So many late night, midnight reporting.
For whatever, college, high school, you name it.
Yes. But yeah, so I guess I tend to go to National the most just because it's where my family goes.
Bobcat Bonnie's in Corktown is closing after nearly 10 years. The whole restaurant group's been facing, I'll just call them headwinds, challenges. With number of locations. I believe Ypsilanti is now gone. Wyandotte is now gone. Clinton Township is now gone. They're really in something that the owner, Matthew Buskard, posted to Facebook, which we echoed on dailydetroit.com, talked about focusing on Ferndale and trying to get back to the vibe. When Bobcat Bonnie's opened,
it was the brunch jam. And let's not forget, they bought the Fly Trap in Ferndale. And they also bought the old Embrews space, which was then called Scout. And both of those, Scout has closed and the original owners of the Fly Trap have bought the Fly Trap back from them. So this isn't just a Bobcat Bonnie's problem, right? This is like the entire group where it's just, there's a lot going on. And I think they're, like he said, he's trying to focus on Ferndale. And I do think that Ferndale is probably their biggest location and probably their most popular. So it would make sense as to why they're focusing on that.
And I'll be honest, nearly 10 years, that's a run.
It is a run.
That is a run in the restaurant business.
It is.
But you know what there's not a lot of?
What?
The rest of this episode.
No.
Because we are done for today.
Awesome.
On your Daily Detroit. Cheyenne Oserini, it's so good to see you.
It's great to see you too, Jer.
Thank you so much for all the editing that you do behind the scenes.
No problem.
Why should people vote for Daily Detroit to be the best podcast in Detroit in our magazine? You're the producer. You hear everything that comes through, goes through your brain.
It does. You're really putting me on the spot here, Jer. But I will say, one, we are a small team, but we are very, very mighty. And we do a lot with a very little. And I think that we're going up against a lot of bigger names with a lot more money. And I don't know, man. I'm an underdog kind of gal.
I feel like for more than 1,600 episodes, we've done a lot, but we've always been the underdog.
We have been. And I feel like this is like the first time, like we've gone to the Best of Detroit, like events.
Yeah, you and I have gone together.
Yeah. And so to be nominated is a huge deal. And I mean, and I don't know, like, I just think it was very cool to be added to that list. And I just think that you guys should vote for us because we're cool and we tell you where to go.
And what to know.
And what to know.
Go figure. We try to do what we say on the tin.
We try.
Also, remember, our listener survey is out there. dailydetroit.com/survey. dailydetroit.com/survey. Always looking to serve you all better. And of course, can't do it without our members on Patreon. Much of what we talked about here, you would know first if you were in our Discord.
You would. And you would also get to hear some really fun conversations that are not broadcast.
Our members are hilarious.
They are.
They're really funny. They're really great. The conversations, I am so honored. Like, I was a little nervous at first doing our own member chat, but man, it's fun.
I know. They're a great bunch of people.
They are. Well, with that, I'm Jer Stace.
And I'm Cheyenne Oserini.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and and we'll talk tomorrow.